Hey guys, well, I have something else that I wanted to address. Something interesting that happened yesterday when a video from this channel was recommended to me on my YouTube feed. And I found it interesting because I never actually watch any of this type of content. And then suddenly a video from this channel with nearly 4.5 million subscribers is showing up on my homepage being recommended to me. And so the video wasn't actually about the psyops that this guy with nearly 4.5 million subscribers is pushing, because he does push the alien psyops and he does push all of this paranormal stuff. But the video wasn't to do with his usual content. It was to do with the cell phone outage that everybody is discussing. You know, everybody on alternative media is discussing this cell phone outage. Was it caused by the solar flares? Was it caused by a hack? And it's interesting because there have been other outages, and yet the amount of discussion and the amount of attention that this outage is getting is really starting to make me pay attention to why that is happening, especially when these channels with 4.5 million subscribers with content that I don't usually watch are suddenly also making videos about this cell phone outage. Now, I don't have to tell you guys that I don't trust anybody that has 4.42 million subscribers. I mean, I don't even trust anybody that has 100,000 subscribers. And hey, you could be completely innocent, but that doesn't mean I'm going to trust your ass, because I don't trust anybody on social media. I don't trust anybody that's putting out information. And I'm always questioning their agenda and their motivation. Are they making money from what information they are providing to people? Are they pushing a certain agenda? Are they trying to influence the thinking of the majority? Like this guy with 4.5 million subscribers is pushing and seeding this alien psyops to all of these people. Okay, and he's also profiting from it. I mean, it literally says here he's got 20% off all of his posters and his merch. Okay, use the promo code. So not only is he making money, but he's also pushing a psyops, okay? And he has this huge, huge following. So his reach and his influence on people's minds is massive. So I always pay attention when these very large channels are pushing this type of content, especially when I'm having it recommended to me on my home feed on YouTube when I don't even usually watch this content. And then he's uploading something that he never actually speaks about, which happened a few days ago, and everybody is now discussing it. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to discuss in this video. That's not what I wanted to address. What I wanted to address about this video that this guy has uploaded that has, 500,000 views is the actual replies to this video. Now, the video is literally just clips of people freaking out, mainly GenXers and millennials, freaking out about how they can't call an Uber and they don't have cell service and they can't get onto the internet and they can't do this and they can't do that, and they're completely, freaking out because they are now unable to connect to anybody online or using their cell phone. And this is what some would say a beta test, okay, to see how we are going to react to an outage, to all of our phones losing connectivity and not being able to access the internet. And so the majority of people who believe it was a hack or believe it was a false flag, this is what they're doing. Now, it wasn't the solar flares. I've already given evidence for this. I don't care what Ben from Suspicious Observers is claiming. He has no evidence to back up his claims. He shows some random charts and he shows the X flare, but he doesn't actually show what time the outages happened and then match them up to the X flares because they happened hours apart. Okay. So what he does is just throw up some images, use some big words, assert himself, assert that what he is saying is the truth, and then everybody just takes that as, oh, well, it must be the truth because Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers has said it. There is a little bit of pushback in the comment section of his video. I was actually quite pleased to see that not everyone was just nodding in agreement, though the large majority were, because the large majority are just his fan base and would believe whatever he said either way. But I was happy to see that some people were pushing back. And so they basically all said the same thing. Here is the evidence that it could not be a flare that caused the outages. So we know that it wasn't the solar flares, even though, as I showed in my last video, they tried to seed the masses into believing that it could have been, okay, but it wasn't. And so, yes, it was a hack. Were they beta testing the masses to see how they'd react? No. They know how we're going to react. They've been socially engineering us and propagandizing us for decades, okay? Since the first television was turned on in the first American household, they have been seeding us with propaganda and social engineering and influencing how we think. They've been doing it before that, even with newspapers, okay? But once they turned on that first television, that was the end. That was the final nail in the coffin for humanity when it comes to propaganda. That was it, all right? But that's not what this is about either. Okay, so yes, it was a beta test. It wasn't a test to see how we'd react. They already know how we react. That's just a bonus for them. Okay, it was just to see how the system was going to react to them bringing it down. Okay, they're just getting it all ready. They're getting it all in place. They're making sure that it is going to be successful when they do decide to bring down the internet, because they will. Okay, will they do it this year? I don't know. Will they do it next year? I don't know. But I do know it will happen, and probably sooner than we expect. But what I did want to address in this video mainly, guys, was the comments. The reaction from boomers and Gen Xers to the millennials and Gen Zers in this, video on these news clips, freaking out when they can't call an Uber or they can't get service on their cell phone. And how smug they were, and how snide these comments were, and how, they were born in the 1950s and they went 40 years without an electronic leash and they survived just fine. There's even comments here saying how much they're going to laugh at millennials and Gen Zers when the grids go down, when there's no cell phones. Because these people are idiots. They have not thought this through. They have not realized, because they're not critical thinkers, because they watch channels like this instead of actually going and doing any research, they have not realized how dependent they are on the grid, on internet, on the ability to communicate with each other. We don't have landlines anymore. If you are away from home and you are stuck because you can't get back home, how are you going to ring people at home when all you've got is a cell phone? I don't care if you're a boomer, you're not going to call your family at home like any of the millennials or any of the Gen Zers. How are you going to access your pharmacy, your drugstore, to get your diabetics medication, to get your heart medication when you can't access money? You can't go to the bank and take out cash because guess what, brainiacs? The internet is connected to the power grid. Okay, geniuses? That means when the internet goes down, the power grid goes down. Our electricity grid is going to be taken out with the internet. This is a 7-year-old article. I can only imagine how much more intertwined our power grid and internet are now. Okay, because it's literally telling us that the American power grid is even more efficient because electricity plants, transformers, and other key pieces of infrastructure are networked together, allowing for electricity to be redirected in real time from areas with too much to those needing more. The problem is that those gains have now left the overall system open to attack. Power stations and grids run by network-connected computer-controlled systems can be hacked to cause widespread outages. They don't even have to hack the actual electricity grid. They just have to hack the internet. They just have to bring down the internet, and the electricity grid goes down with it. And no, brainiacs, you will not be able to contact each other unless you're a ham operator. You have a CB radio, do you? You have a two-way radio. Your family has a two-way radio. Okay, you're not going to be able to contact anyone and communicate with anyone. All you brainiacs on your, prepper channels and your prepper Facebook groups. Do you have a plan B to contact each other? No, you don't, because you're not very smart. But you think you can sit there and ridicule the younger generations, which, by the way, it's our fault that we allowed technology to fuck up their childhoods. And you're going to gloat and brag about how great your childhood was because we allowed their childhoods to be fucked up by the internet, to be fucked up by social media, okay? To encourage narcissism and mental illness in them. And that's somehow their fault that we allowed it to happen to them. And hey, we're good. We had a great childhood. We're going to brag about how great our childhood was. I mean, it's sickening. It really is sickening. And you know what? I think if anything, after the initial freak out from the Gen Z and millennials, who of course will freak out because these are the generations that have not known anything but technology due to us allowing this to happen to them, to our children. So initially they may freak out a little bit more, but eventually they're probably going to do so much better than we are. Us old fogies, okay, that require heart medication and diabetes medication. Thankfully, I don't, but I know there's plenty out there that do. Okay, if you are dependent on any type of medication, good fucking luck, all right, because you're not going to be able to access it. The drugstore's not going to be open. The hospital has your records on a computer file that they're not going to be able to access. And there are going to be thousands and thousands of people all freaking out at the local hospital trying to access their medication along with you, okay? So just stop the snide remarks and the arrogance. It's just pathetic. It's pathetic. It's mean-spirited, and it just makes you look really stupid because you are going to be affected by a takedown of the internet and cell phones just like any millennial and any Gen Zer, because we are all enslaved in their digital gulag. Now, I have more videos about this on my channel if you want to go and look this up. And I have decided I probably will start making more videos, but just in the shorter format, because most of my comments and replies on YouTube are now being deleted by Google. Around 80% of them are being deleted. And so I thought I'd use probably what time I have left to actually start addressing all of this stupidity that I am now seeing. Okay. And so I'm just going to keep it to a shorter format. It just allows me to be able to address the issue quite quickly and it not actually mentally exhaust me as much as the live streams. Again, I'm now also posting daily on my forum. If you want to visit my site, I will put the website underneath. You can click on the forum and you can see all of the latest discussions. I actually do have a category about the lie of technology. I shall also have a category about how they're coming for our children. I have a category about how they're propagandizing our society. So if you want to join in on the discussions, you are most welcome to. But yes, for the love of God, please stop being so arrogant and so full of hubris and so snarky and smug, because it's going to backfire big time. Okay, boomers. Okay, Gen Xers, You're not going to get out of this just because you had a great childhood with no technology. Well, I'll leave it here, guys. And as always, peace out.